Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Muhammad Ajmal, and in this lecture I will give instructions about the experiment number 5 of the course of Advanced Physical Chemistry with course code CHEM3117. The title of this experiment is Determination of Percentage Composition of Potassium Permanganate and Potassium Dichromate in a given solution by spectrophotometry. First of all, let's see the apparatus and chemicals which are required to perform this experiment. In order to perform this experiment, we need a spectrophotometer, pipette, pipette fillers, measuring flasks of 100 ml or 50 ml, beakers of 50 ml or 100 ml or even 250 ml, a vein balance, potassium permanganate, and potassium dichromate. If we talk about the theory of this experiment, then the experiment is based on the principle of Beer-Lambert's law. According to Beer-Lambert's law, absorbance is directly proportional to concentration and path length. And mathematically it's written as A, which is equal to epsilon into C into L. In this mathematical expression, A is representing the absorbance of the analyte, C is the concentration of that analyte, while C is the path length of the sample holder, which is mostly a cuvette, and epsilon is a constant, and this constant is also known as molar absorption coefficient or molar absorptivity. The absorbance of a mixture only depends upon its percentage composition. One colored compound does not affect absorbance of another colored compound unless they react chemically. It means if we have two colored compounds in a same medium, then if these two colored compounds are not reactive with each other, then they will not affect on the absorbance of each other. So absorbance can be considered as an additive property. It means at any wavelength, absorbance of a mixture having two components A and B, let's say the one component is A and the other component is B, then that can be written as A will be equal to epsilon of the A into concentration of A into path length of the sample holder plus epsilon of B into concentration of B multiplied by the path length of the sample holder. It means the total absorbance of a mixture at any wavelength will be the sum of the absorbance of one component at that wavelength and the absorbance of the other component at that wavelength. Suppose lambda max of component A is lambda 1 and lambda max of component B is lambda 2. Then absorbance of the mixture at lambda 1 can be written as A1 is equal to A with subscript A1 plus A with subscript B1. In this mathematical expression, the component A with subscript A1 is representing the absorbance of component A at wavelength lambda 1. So in terms of Beer-Lambert's law, this equation can further be written as capital A1 is equal to epsilon of A1 into concentration of A multiplied by the path length plus A B1 now can be replaced in terms of the Beer-Lambert's law with the epsilon of B1 into CB, that is the concentration of component B multiplied by the path length of the sample holder. Similarly, absorbance of the mixture at lambda 2 can be written as A2 will be equal to A of with subscript A2 plus A with subscript B2. In this expression, the first parameter A with subscript A2 is representing the absorbance of component A in the mixture at lambda wavelength lambda 2. Similarly, the second parameter AB2 is representing the absorbance of component B at wavelength lambda 2. So this mathematical expression can also be written in the form of Beer-Lambert's law, that A2 now can be written as equal to epsilon of A2 into concentration of A multiplied by the wavelength plus epsilon of B2 into concentration of B multiplied by the path length of the sample holder. The term molar absorption coefficient, which has been represented by the symbol of epsilon and has been used in Beer-Lambert's law, can be calculated by plotting absorbance as a function of concentration. The molar absorption coefficient has different values at different wavelength for the same component. So in case of a mixture, the molar absorption coefficient of each component can be calculated at the lambda max of component 1 and at the lambda max of component 2. The molar absorption coefficient of component A at wavelength lambda 1 can be calculated by plotting the absorbance of component A at lambda 1 as a function of concentration of component A in the solution. The slope of this graph is equal to lambda A1, that is the epsilon A1 multiplied by the path length. This epsilon A1 is the molar absorption coefficient of component A at lambda 1. Similarly, if we plot the absorbance of component A at lambda 2 as a function of concentration of component B in the mixture or in the solution, then slope of this graph becomes equal to epsilon B1 into path length of the sample holder. This epsilon B1 is the molar absorption coefficient of component B at lambda 1. Similarly, the values of epsilon A2 and epsilon B2 can also be calculated. The molar absorptivity coefficient or the molar absorption coefficient, which is represented by epsilon, has specific value for a specific compound at specific wavelength. It means if we have a compound, for the same compound we will have different values of the molar absorption coefficient at different wavelengths. Therefore, values of epsilon A1, epsilon A2, epsilon B1 and epsilon B2 are different from each other. To determine their values, we need to prepare number of solutions of pure component A and pure component B, and then measure their absorbance at lambda 1 and lambda 2. Then we will plot the absorbance as a function of the concentration, and slope of the plot of absorbance of component A at lambda 1 against concentration will give the value of epsilon A1 multiplied by L. Similarly, slope of the plot of absorbance of component A at lambda 2 against concentration will give the value of will be equal to epsilon A2 multiplied by the path length of sample holder. In the same way, we can also calculate the values of epsilon B1 and epsilon B2. By putting the values of these epsilons in equation number 1 and equation number 2, which has been written in the previous slides, we can calculate the values of concentration of A and concentration of B in the mixture. And once we have the values of concentration of A and concentration of B in the mixture, then we can find the total concentration, and then we can also calculate the percentage composition as well. And now the procedure. First of all, in order to perform any experiment, one need to wash all the glasswares which are required in the experiment and dry them in the oven. Then for this experiment, you need to prepare 1 millimolar solution of potassium permanganate and similarly 1 millimolar solution of potassium dichromate. Then you need to dilute 1 millimolar solutions of potassium permanganate and potassium dichromate to 0.2, 0.4, 0.6 and 0.8 millimolars. It means you have to prepare five different solutions, five solutions with different concentrations of each of potassium permanganate and potassium dichromate. And you will also be provided with a binary mixture whose percentage composition is to be determined. This binary mixture will be prepared by the examiner. In the next step, you have to measure absorbance of 1 millimolar potassium permanganate at various wavelengths using spectrophotometer, and then plot absorbance versus wavelength and note lambda max of potassium permanganate and label it as lambda 1. Similarly, you need to measure the absorbance of 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 and 1 millimolar solution of potassium permanganate at lambda 1 and plot the absorbance versus concentration. Slope of this plot will give the value of epsilon A1 into L as it has been discussed previously. Then absorbance is measured at lambda 2 and slope of plot of this absorbance versus concentration will give the value of epsilon A2 into L, which is length of the sample holder or path length of the sample holder. Repeat step 5 and step 6 for potassium dichromate as well and find values of epsilon B1L and epsilon B2L. From the values of epsilon B1L and epsilon B2L, you will also calculate the values of epsilon B1 and epsilon B2. And in the next step, you need to measure absorbance of the binary mixture at lambda 1 and lambda 2. This binary mixture will be provided to the student from the examiner. And in the last step, students have to calculate the concentration of components of mixture using equations 1 and equation 2. The procedure of calculation is has been explained in the observation and calculation section. Here are the observations and calculations. In this step, first of all, you need to calculate the lambda max of KMnO4 or the component 1 and the lambda max of K2Cr2O7, that is the component 2. The absorbance of 1 millimolar aqueous solution of KMnO4 and K2Cr2 is recorded at different wavelength and the recorded values are written in the form of a table as shown here. For KMnO4, the wavelength is being starting from 250 and its maximum is 750. And for K2Cr2, the absorbance has been recorded in the same region. These are supposed values of absorbance for these two components, and from these supposed values it is observed that lambda max for KMnO4 is 530 nanometer while the lambda max for K2Cr2O7 is 370 nanometer. There is also another way for the calculation of lambda max of a compound. It depends upon the availability of a UV visible spectrophotometer which can scan the absorbance of a compound in a specific region of wavelength. Most of the UV visible spectrophotometer can scan the absorbance in UV visible region that starts from 200 and ends at 800 nanometers. So these obtained results are shown in this figure. In case of KMnO4, if we start the absorbance from 200 and reach to 800, then it can be observed that the maximum absorption has been noted around 570 nanometer, while in case of potassium dichromate, the lambda max, which is in this experiment has been labeled as lambda 2, this is around 270 nanometer. So this is the alternative way and an easy way for the calculation of lambda max, but it depends upon the availability of the UV visible spectrophotometer, which can scan the absorbance of a compound in UV visible region of wavelength. The next step in this experiment will be determination of absorbance of the mixture at lambda 1 and absorbance of the mixture at lambda 2. This absorbance of the mixture at lambda 1 and lambda 2 can also be calculated by using the UV visible spectrophotometer, and this can be denoted as A1 and A2. And the next step will be the calculation of epsilon, that is the molar absorption coefficient. We have to calculate 4 different values of molar absorption coefficients. The first one will be the molar absorption coefficient of the component A at lambda 1 and the molar absorption coefficient of component A at lambda 2. Similarly, we have to calculate the molar absorption coefficient of component B at lambda 1 and molar absorption coefficient of the component B at lambda 2, which is labeled as epsilon B2. For this purpose, the students will prepare aqueous solutions of KMnO4 and K2Cr2 with different concentrations as shown in this table. The first column from the left side represents the concentration, the values of the concentrations. So the concentrations of KMnO4 and K2Cr2 will be in the range of 0.2 to 1 millimolars. Once the solutions with the concentrations are with the 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 and 1 millimolar will be prepared, these will be the individual solutions of KMnO4 and K2Cr2O7. It means the solutions will be prepared separately. These are not mixtures of the solutions. So once the solutions are prepared, then concentration of KMnO4, absorbance of the KMnO4 will be calculated at lambda 1 and lambda 2 for each concentration. Similarly, the absorbance of the aqueous solutions of K2Cr2 with each different concentration will be calculated at lambda 1 and lambda 2. These values of the absorbance will be placed in a table as shown in this table. Okay, once we have determined the values of absorbance of both the components with each different concentration, then we need to plot the absorbance of component A at lambda 1 against the concentration of component A. From the slope of this component, we can determine the value of epsilon A1. Similarly, the value of epsilon A2 can be calculated by plotting the absorbance of component B at lambda 1 against the concentration of component A. On the other hand, in the similar way, we can also calculate the values of epsilon B1 and epsilon B2. The value of epsilon B1 can be calculated by plotting the absorbance of component A at lambda 2 against concentration of component B. The slope of this plot will give the value of epsilon B1 into L. The value of L is 1 in this case, so slope will be equal to epsilon B1. For the calculation of epsilon B2, we need to plot the absorbance of component B at lambda 2 against the concentration of component B. The slope of that graph will give the value of epsilon B2. Here are the supposed calculation for epsilon A1 and epsilon A2. Epsilon A1 can be calculated by plotting the absorbance of KMnO4 as a function of the concentration of KMnO4 at lambda 1. Similarly, epsilon A2 can be calculated by plotting the absorbance of KMnO4 at lambda 2 as a function of concentration of KMnO4 in the mixture. As it can be seen from the left hand side graph, the straight line equation of this graph is representing that slope is equal to 750 Since slope of this graph is equal to epsilon a1 multiplied by the L, the value of L is equal to 1 in this case. Therefore, when 1 is multiplied with 750, then epsilon a1 becomes equal to 750. Similarly, we can also calculate the epsilon a2 from the slope of this right hand side graph. The slope of the right hand side graph is equal to 75. So 75 will be equal to epsilon a2 into L. The value of L is equal to 1. So epsilon a2 is equal to 75. Similarly, here is the calculation of epsilon b1 and epsilon b2. The procedure of the calculation is quite similar, and the values of epsilon b2 is 750 while that of epsilon b1 is 75. Once you calculate the values of epsilon a1, epsilon a2, epsilon b1 and epsilon b2, then you need to measure the the absorbance of the solution at lambda 1 and lambda 2. Let the absorbance of the mixture solution at lambda 1 is represented by a1 and its value is equal to 1, and the absorbance of the mixture solution at lambda 2 is represented by a2 and its value is also equal to 1. The value of path length L is also equal to 1 centimeter. If we have all these values, then we can calculate the value of CA and CB by using the equations 1 and 2 which are shown over here again. Consider equation 1, which is A1 is equal to epsilon A1 into concentration of component A multiplied by the path length plus epsilon B1 into concentration of the component B in the solution into path length L. Now we can put different values which we have in this equation. The value of A1 is also available, the value of A2 is also available, we have also the values of epsilon A1, we have also the value of epsilon B1. So by putting these values in this equation, we get 1 is equal to 750 multiplied by CA into 1. This 1 is now representing the path length plus epsilon B1's value of 75 will be placed, and CB is as such into the value of path length L. By rearranging this equation, we can calculate the value of CB, which becomes equal to 1 minus 750 CA overall divided by 75. Once we have calculated the value of CB in terms of CA, then we can put this value of CB in equation number 2, and also we have to place the values of other parameters in equation number 2. Then we can calculate the value of CA as shown over here. In this equation number 2, when we put the value of A2 which is equal to 1, then 1 becomes equal to the value of epsilon A2 is 75, while the value of CA is to be determined. The value of L is equal to 1. So the first parameter of equation number 2 now can be written as 75 CA into 1 plus epsilon B2 is 750 into, we can place the value of CB, that is in terms of A as shown at the top of this slide, and this is 1 minus 750 into CA over 75. This overall parameter, the second parameter will be multiplied with the path length L, that is equal to 1, so this parameter will remain as such. It can be further solved, which will be shown in the next slide. And here it is the further solution. Now 1 becomes equal to 75 into CA plus 750 into 1 minus 750 into CA over 75. This can be further solved, and finally we reach the value of CA, which becomes equal to 0.001212 molars. Now we have calculated the value of CA. So once we have the value of CA, then we can place the value of CA in any of the equations 1 and 2, and we can calculate the value of CB. As shown over here, the value of Cb has been calculated from equation number 1. In equation number 1, we have placed all the parameters which are also listed over here, because all these parameters are known of equation number 1 and only Cb is unknown in equation number 2. So the value of Cb can also be calculated in this way, and in these supposed calculation its value has become equal to 0.001212. Now for the calculation of percentage composition of the mixture, first we calculate the total molarity of the mixture, that will be the combination of concentration of A and the concentration of B, or we can say it will be equal to the sum of the concentration of A and concentration of B in the mixture. As we have determined the concentration of A, which is Ca, and concentration of B, which is Cb, as 0.001212 for each of these. So by putting these values we can calculate the value of Ca plus Cb. And then percentage of A in the mixture can be calculated by using the formula that is Ca over Ca plus Cb overall will be multiplied by 100. This will be the percentage of A in this mixture, and it becomes equal to 0.5%. Similarly, percentage of B in the mixture can be calculated by dividing the value of Ca plus Cb to the value of Cb and then multiplying the answer with 100, and this also becomes equal to 0.5. In the end, the students have to write the result of the experiment. So it will be written that percentage of KMnO4 and K2Cr2 in the mixture is 0.5 and 0.5% respectively. The last point while writing any experiment is precautions. And these precautions for this experiment can include that flasks of all colored solutions should be covered with aluminium foil, so that they should be protected from any effect of the sunlight. Similarly, note absorbance when instrument gives stable reading, because there are many instruments which take some time to get at the stable position. And finally, switch on the spectrophotometer at least 15 minutes before you have to use it, so that the system becomes stable. Here is an assignment for the students. The values of absorbance for KMnO4 and K2Cr2 at lambda 1 and lambda 2 at different concentrations of these two components are given. From this data, the students have to determine the percentage of KMnO4 and K2Cr2 in the mixture. So that is the end of this lecture.